camera equipment.
To the first union in American history.
Fakto, het manifesta. Chris Smalls and Manuel Toomey.
For the people who don't know you, can you tell us who is Chris Smalls? What has he done? You talked already about Amazon. Can you explain a bit more?
I try to tell people and remind people, not only myself, that 3 years ago I was just a single parent father trying to do the right thing and protect myself and my family from COVID. I'm just an average person that grew up in a single parent home, a single mother. I love sports, I love music, I love to interact with people. I've always been a people person my whole life. And when it came to organizing Amazon 3 years ago, when I walked out of the warehouse over COVID-19, if you'd have told me I'd be sitting here as a union president, I'd have been looking at you like you were crazy. So for me, I tell everybody I'm just a working class person that's just trying to fight for my right in survival mode. We all felt the, I guess you could say, the repercussions of COVID-19 and the pandemic, of how bosses and the exploitation of workers trickled down to the average worker. And when Amazon fired me, you know, what happened to me publicly in the US, I didn't want to see happen to other people. So forming a union, forming an organization, forming a community around me that's going to give me the strength and courage to continue fighting is something that anybody and everybody can do, not just myself. So for me, I like to say, Amazon didn't know who I was when they fired me. I was a really good employee for them, really model employee. And now I just play for a different team, you know? I play for the team of the people, and I'm a leader of a great independent worker union now for the first time in American history. And I'm very proud and honored to be representing the workers of Amazon.
Do you have experiences or examples where you can see it really clear in what way they exploit the workers?
Think about this. During the pandemic, billionaires made the most money they ever made in their lifetime or their tenures in their industries. All of them. They all benefited from the pandemic. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of us, if not millions of us, lost our lives, lost everything. If people didn't realize that, I don't understand, well, I can't understand why they're not as angry or upset as I am. Problem is that we live in a society where the government, the corporations, billionaires, they understand the distractions of life. They understand it, trust me. They know by putting us back in work, putting us back in our jobs, squeezing us to the limit where we have to just think about work and how we're going to survive, how we're going to pay our bills, how we're going to live the next day. They know, they calculate all of this. They seen the uprisings during the pandemic, and they seen how they declined when everybody went back to work. They want us to stay divided and stay disconnected from everything. They don't want us to talk about our wages among our colleagues. So exploitation of workers is never going to go anywhere. And I have to tell people this, I'm sorry to break it to you. You don't become a billionaire. There's no such thing as a good billionaire. I'll tell you that right now. There's no such thing. You had to exploit a class of people. Not just a particular group, a class of people in order to become that rich. To have more money than 10,000 lifetimes, oh yeah, you exploited some people. How you do that is a different way. Corporations, billionaires, Amazon, UPS, DHL, no matter what it is, whatever industry you want to talk about, auto industry, they know by paying us the bare minimum, by having a system that's designed to hire and fire, they know by doing this, get rid of the people that want to come together, collectively fight for a union. We have to continue, no matter if you're fired or not, because I'm an example of a fired employee, that no matter what happens to the worker, the message, the community around us have to continue to fight. We have to be our own cavalry. There's no other cavalry coming for us. If we don't organize, nothing is going to be given to us. They're not going to say, you know what, let me give everybody a raise today, just for the hell of it. No, labor unions are the reason why there's 8-hour work days, are the reason why there's 40-hour work weeks. We have to continue to organize and fight until we can't no more, because nobody is going to give it to us. And that's what I've learned in my short, and I have to remind everybody, my short 3 years of organizing in the labor movement, that there's no cavalry. We have to do it ourselves, and there's strength in numbers. As I mentioned, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, whoever, none of them none of them have the amount of power as we do as a working class.
That's a really strong message, because it is true that we don't see our strength ourselves. We think, oh no, I don't want to unionize because maybe they will fire me and I will lose my job and I will lose everything. But we don't see the strength that we form, we're all together. And it's also giving hope to those people, the message of us all together fighting for our rights. And I think that's a really strong message to give to everyone who is hesitating to fight for their rights or to join a union. And Chris, honestly, you look so dope. I really like your style, your vibe. And when I look at you, it makes me want to join the union too. And I'm like, that's crazy, because young people here in Belgium, they have this negative view of unions, mostly because they think it's boring, it's for old people. How do you manage to convince so many young men and women to join the union and to fight for their rights?
Making unionizing cool again. When I was a kid, if you'd have told me that I could be as cool as a rapper, as a union, trade union leader, I would have been doing this a long time ago. Kids growing up, a lot of us try to become either musicians, celebrities, artists. They like to play professional sports. That was my dream as well. I had the same aspirations. I wanted to be in the NBA. I wanted to play for the New York Knicks. I wanted to grow and be a famous celebrity or a celebrity-style rapper as a kid. I never thought about being in a union or being a union leader or a leader amongst the people for any type of the things that I'm fighting for now. So to make unionizing and the labor movement appealing is a great way to reach the youth. For me, I just try to use my creativity and use my skill sets as well. Like, music is a big passion of mine, and if I can perform and that reaches people, I will absolutely perform every day. But if I can bring people together on a commonality of Jeff Bezos and the 1% class is the enemy, that's even greater than any type of song that I could ever create.
And do you also have examples of how you try to make unionizing cool? Because sometimes I know unions here and they have like these gatherings, and sometimes it's, for example, on a Sunday, 8 in the morning or 10 in the morning, like no young people will come and join you at these gatherings. Do you think about stuff like that when you organize a gathering?
Of course. You're talking about my warehouse in particular that represents 8,300 people. I can tell you now, all 8,300 people don't listen to rap music, so I can't use the same thing on all 8,000. So I have to be creative. I have to be all-inclusive, and I have to do different things. So, for example, what I did besides campaigning outside of my warehouse for over 300 days, when I was outside, every night I made that space feel like it was a welcoming environment, sort of like a mini micro fraction of Manifiesta. I didn't have the big tents. I had a little small tent, but I had a bonfire. We had music out there. We rejoiced. We held hands. We prayed. We sing. We danced. We laughed. We socialized together, and building that little community right outside the warehouse where workers going to and from work, they saw that every day, and they're like, hey, I want to be a part of that. I don't want to be left out. Everybody's talking about Chris and what he's doing outside. I want to be a part of that community. It was a safe haven. And when you're talking about organizing people, when they're going up against $1 trillion company named Amazon that surveils them every day, you got to create a safe haven for them. And the youth, they like to look at things that we're utilizing. Social media was a big factor for us. For example, I can tell you now, Amazon hates the fact that we use TikTok so well. We use TikTok to the T. It got so viral that they sent 4 letters to the government trying to stop our TikTok account. So we got to understand these tools that are given to us, even though they may be tech-driven or tech-controlled, we can absolutely utilize them to get our instant messages out to the mass and the youth instantly at the tip of our fingers. And just being creative, it always helps. That's the only way, once again, we're able to spread this message. Before social media even existed, people want to say, how did you become an organizer? I've been an organizer my whole life. I just didn't know it. As an independent rapper or independent artist, musician, I was an artist before Instagram, before MySpace, before Facebook, before TikTok, before Snapchat. So I'm talking about over a decade ago, I was already an organizer, because when I was an independent artist, I would have to get up every morning and I would have to walk to a college campus or a school campus and hand deliver flyers and have face-to-face conversations in order to bring an audience to my show on that weekend as an independent artist. So when you're having these face-to-face conversations and you're handing out flyers, you're organizing people. And that's the team that I'm playing for now. Back then it was different, but now I'm playing for labor. I'm playing for a team where I'm organizing by having face-to-face conversations. Nothing's changed. Social media has added a different aspect to it. We can use that to reach people in different countries, different parts of the world. But when you want to really, really control your workshop and make sure that people are focused in your own particular workshop or industry, you're going to have to meet them where they at, and you're going to have face-to-face conversations. Not just one conversation, but several.
I really found it really fascinating to see how many young people there were on the streets. And I also see it in Belgium, like youngster organization at Fox. And you see these young boys and girls going on the street because, for example, in Antwerp, the mayor has decided that they can't skate in the skate park, and they went on the street with a lot of young boys, young girls who said skating is not a crime. I was so fascinated by that, to see that they really got things in their own hands, and they went on the street and they said, well, this is our skate park and we want to skate in it. So you are going to let us skate in it. And I think it's amazing to see how many young people realize that if they unionize, in which way, whatever it is, we can reach things. And I think that gives me personally a lot of hope for the future. I was also wondering, because you talked about the conversations that you have with people, that you really go to people, you go on the streets, you talk with people. And I was wondering what the reactions were of the younger people when you try to convince them to, okay, let's join us, let's join the union, we can fight for better rights in our workspace and stuff. What are their reactions? Do they have positive reactions? Do they have negative reactions? What are their fears? How do they look at the union?
For the younger generation, when I'm talking to anybody that's trying to join this movement, I have to be honest with them. And I tell them that, hey, the fight that we signed up for is going to be long, it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough. You're going to put your life on the line, you're going to risk your job, but it's going to be worth it because you're doing it not for yourself, you're doing it for the next person, or you're doing it for your children. You know, because that's what I'm doing this for. I'm doing this so that my 11-year-old twins, one boy, one girl, don't have to fight as hard as I do one day. They'll be able to grow up and say, my dad, this generation before us, fought so hard that I don't have to fight no more. And I think what you're seeing is the younger generation is now paying attention at a younger age. And that's the beauty of what we're doing now with not just my union, but all the labor unions in the USA. We're utilizing the tools, we're utilizing social media, we're amplifying the international solidarity so that the younger generation stays abreast of what's going on. And I think if we can continue that trend, hopefully that one day we'll see that revolution that we all want. The conversations I have now are all positive because, once again, I look like somebody that comes from their community. You know, when they hear it come from me, it resonates a little bit different. And that's what I mean by making unionizing appealing. If I had somebody walk in my classroom when I was 10 years old and say, you know what, we're not bringing in a police officer today, we're not bringing in a fireman today, we're going to bring in Chris Smalls, the man who took on Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, and defeated him. We're going to bring him in at 10 years old. If I would have saw somebody like me walk in the classroom, I could tell you right now, my lights would have lit up because I'd be like, who is this guy? So the conversations that I'm having with the younger generation, I've been at elementary schools, I've been at middle schools, I've been at high schools, even my own alumni, my own high school has contacted me and told me they formed a student union. I said, they didn't have this when I graduated. Where the hell was that at? But it's good that they're paying attention to the things I'm doing and the things that we're doing in labor at that age, because I didn't have that opportunity. And a lot of people, a lot of kids don't have that opportunity. They don't learn the real history, whether it's in America or whether it's over here. They learn about what they teach you and what they want you to know, the propaganda they want you to know. I can tell you now, Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. So we have to teach the real history of labor, and not just teach the real history of labor and learn from it. We're still writing history as we speak. So bringing in modern day trade unionist leaders into the classrooms, meet at skate park, doing events like Manifiesta every year, bringing the community to where labor meets is how we're going to bring the younger generation into this fight. And slowly but surely that's been happening. You know, when I went to the White House last year and they told me I'm going to meet the President of the United States, they told me a few things. They said I have to possibly change how I look before I even go to the White House. So you know what I told them? I said, if I have to change how I look, then don't invite me because I'm coming as is. And then I did exactly what I wanted to do. Not only did I, go to the White House as is, I wanted them to see what New York City really looks like. I want them to see what community I come from really looks like. And I got a lot of grit for it. A lot of people would say, why did he disrespect the White House by walking in there with Jordans on? I said, because my identity and my representation is everything. And I would never give that up no matter what. And I want to break down these stigmas that's already been out there because these stigmas, we have to look a certain way, we have to dress a certain way, we have to talk a certain way. These stigmas were created by our oppressors. So for me, I would never conform to that. I would make sure that every single time I have a chance to represent my identity and my people, I'm going to take that.
I respect that so much. Honestly, talking about recognition and representation and stuff, I have a lot of rebellious cousins, and as I told you already, I'm from Moroccan origins, and I have my cousins who are 12, 13, 14, and in Antwerp we call them dreris. I certainly know that you know what I'm talking about. You're viewing the kind of little boys that I'm talking about, and these young boys, there's only one thing in their mind. Like one thing and one thing only they talk about is how to get rich the fastest way possible. So for me, it's very interesting to see a cool dude like you who will fit in like a glove with my cousins. Like they will think you're such a cool man. Not hustling to get rich, but actually working with other workers to elevate everybody through a labor union. For me, it's interesting because how did you come up with, okay, now I want to fight this fight. I want to put people together and elevate everybody. I don't want to get rich on my own. I want everybody to get rich.
Yeah, we are the rich people. We just don't know our value. It took the pandemic for a lot of people to reevaluate that. But I can tell you now, Jeff Bezos is not coming to any warehouse and packing the box as fast as I can. I can kick his ass in that any day of the week. It's about knowing our value as essential workers. And as essential workers, the word essential means that we're a necessity. That means they need us. It's not the other way around. When I talk to young kids, of course, I was one of them. I want to be rich. Of course, I want to be rich. Who don't want to be rich? But at the end of the day, money don't buy happiness. And it took me losing everything to realize that. I got fired in the middle of a pandemic. I lost everything. I lost my stocks. I lost my health care. I lost my savings. I lost everything in one day. I lost it all. So if it wasn't for my community supporting me, it wasn't for my family, my friends supporting me, I would have never survived. Amazon was going to kill me. And Amazon would do that over and over and over again. They don't care. They look at people as numbers. So they will hire you and fire you and don't care how you survive. And I've seen that after pouring my blood, sweat, and tears into this company. So for me, when I'm talking to a young kid about, they're like, yo, I want to be like you, man. I want to wear some chains. I want to do this and that. I said, hey, you can do that. You absolutely can. You absolutely can. There's nothing stopping you from doing exactly what I'm doing. Because when I got fired, once again, I got to remind people, 3 years ago, nobody knew who the hell I was. I was just a worker who got fired. But instead of me just fading to black or disappearing or going about my business, I continued to organize. And that's all I did, was continue to organize. And anybody that's organizing can be in this position. It's about the dedication and sacrifice that you're willing to give up to get it. Money will come and go. I've seen it. Money come and go my whole entire life. But the most joyous moments that I have is organizing. I don't want to enjoy my fruits of my labor without the people around me being able to enjoy that as well. And that's just me personally. The reason why we're fighting for $30 an hour is not because we know that we will absolutely have to fight for it, but it's to set a tone for the younger generation to know their worth. The minimum wage in our country has not changed in decades. So we're fighting for something and we're raising the bar and we're talking about negotiating our rights and our benefits. If the company meets us somewhere in the middle, we got a victory there. And fighting for better wages, benefits, healthcare, longer breaks, job security. When you're benefiting are talking about generational wealth. The younger generation have this mindset in America that you gotta have a happy wife, you gotta have a good job, you gotta graduate college, and you'll be able to be successful. But for the majority of us, that's not the reality of our situation. For unionizing, for people that are like me that come from urban environments that don't really want to go through the system of going through college and being in student debts, this is the way of us enjoying the fruits of our labor. And you don't have to be rich, you don't have to be a multi-millionaire to live the happy, healthy lifestyle and a great quality of life. Because that's all I really want to do. I want to have enough time with my family, my loved ones. I want to be able to go on vacation. I want to be able to drive whatever car that I choose. I want to be able to look how I look and dress how I dress and go to work and only have one job. I don't feel like I need to have 2 or 3 jobs. One job should be enough, and we all deserve to have that quality of life.
True. Okay, it has been really, really interesting, and I've learned so much from you, how you try to convince people, how you think that going to the streets is really important, how you should go to the streets, see people face to face, your experiences. I really appreciated that you came. Chris, thank you so much for being here. We really, really, really appreciate it, and hopefully you enjoy the next day or days that you will be here in Belgium.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.